Hello, everyone. It's us again with Felicia and Jen. I'm Felicia.
And I'm Jen.
And we have a treat for all you Swifties out here. We're actually talking to our friend Taylor on Taylor. So this is an episode for you. Go call all of your Swiftie friends and tell them come listen to It's Us Again with Felicia and Jen. So we're going to start with our first question for Taylor.
Okay, first question is, how did you become a Taylor Swift fan?
My first memory of Taylor, I can actually vividly remember it. I don't know the exact year. So about my fanhood, I don't know dates, off the top of my head. I'm not that crazy. I know general timelines, and that is about it. I'm interested in it in small bits, but I couldn't sit here and tell you dates one after the other. So whenever Fearless came out was my first memory of her. So I remember sitting in the living room with Dad, and he was watching the CMT music videos at night that just play on loop as he was probably snoring in the recliner. And the music video for Love Story came on. And I was sitting there, I think I was playing on my DS or something. I was playing Nintendogs or something. DS, that's a long time I think I was playing on my DS on the couch. And the music video for Love Story came on the TV. And I was like, oh, she's really pretty. That's kind of catchy. And that was it. And then I don't remember anything else really until Red came out. And then I listened to that song and I had a couple of favorites and that was about it. I knew that she was existing and doing her thing, but that was the end of it. And then I didn't really become a fan until 1989 because that was when she totally switched gears. It was 2013 or something. And she went pop. And that was more the music that I listened to. So when that came out, I remember my best friend and I at the time were really excited for it. And so I went to Target immediately after school. I begged my mom to take me to Target so I could buy the CD. And that night, I remember we went to Target, and then we had to go to JCPenney because my younger brother had a haircut. And I asked Mom if I could sit in the car so that I could listen to the album on repeat. And I just sat in the car for 2 hours listening to that album. And then from then on, it was pretty much an obsession.
So it sounds like you're pretty much a fan from
day one.
Pretty early.
Yeah.
Well, because 1989 is only, that's still a few albums in for her.
Yeah.
Because she's been around for almost 20
years.
Yeah,
I remember, oh gosh, I'm going back. I'm not going to give my age out. But I remember I was home at my parents' house and my parents were big country fans. Mm. And I remember doing something and they were watching the Grand Ole Opry, which I've only seen a handful of times. But I just remember she was on there with her guitar, and that was
no shoes.
And she was young, really young.
I remember no shoes.
Barefoot.
So how old was she when she got started? Wasn't 16 or?
She was younger than that when they moved to Nashville.
Yeah, and I just remember watching her, and I will say though, because I'll never say anything bad about Taylor Swift, but I didn't think she was very good then. But she was young.
Yeah.
So she evolved.
She's a young teenager.
But I was my mom and I was she's not really very good. But she was 15, 16 years old. So I forgot about
I remember a curly hair guitar and no shoes.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. But since you're such a big fan of hers, what is that one thing she could do that you're you know what? I'm done. I'm no longer a Taylor Swift fan.
So I'll start with what I love about Taylor Swift.
Okay.
So I love, for me, there's no other artist that is, as fan engaged as she is. And I think that it makes it really fun to be her fan because she encourages everyone to have their own theories about everything. And a lot of her fans will, you can go on the biggest TikTok rabbit hole of, stories about individual relationships or on this day what happened and everything. So people go, really in-depth about it. And she's seen, in interviews being I give you Easter eggs about stuff. Every music video, every song, every interview, she's saying something that will, link to something in the future. So, the whole thing is, this big, conspiracy theory on the wall, and, it all connects to each other. I was it feels like a big game with really good music. Mm-hmm. So, I'm I don't see how anyone loses in that situation. But I think, honestly, the only thing she could do is, generally be a really awful person. She's a billionaire and that comes with its own sets of problematic behavior and whatever. But if she were to come out and be openly racist or homophobic or say something really awful, then I would really reconsider. but like I'm fully aware that she is a billionaire. She is a famous person. She has a lot of money. She's, you know, probably manipulative and corrupt in some ways because of all the money. But I still think at the heart of it, like, she's okay, like, as a person. I was like, I don't feel gross about supporting her, like, being excited about her. If it went in that direction, I think that's honestly the only thing where I could see myself not being a fan. Other than that, I think I might just get tired. Like, of how involved it is to be a fan. Like, the amount of group chats I'm in and the texts I get when the smallest thing happens and I have to put it on mute sometimes. That's probably the only other way is if I just get tired of it.
So other than being a, like, social media, like, not, like, going down those holes of, like, you know, the fan forums and social media, like, what's the craziest thing you've ever done as a Taylor Swift fan?
For her, I think objectively it's kind of crazy, but in Taylor Swift world it's not that crazy, as I never would have thought I would spend hundreds of dollars on a concert ticket. And I did go to the Eras tour last year in Philly, and we were on the floor, 16 rows from the stage, which is like the greatest seats at a concert I've ever had, and I paid $400. Which in Taylor Swift world is like baby amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Like those tickets go for like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So like 5 years ago, I'd be like, you're absolutely nuts and you should save that money. But like at the time, it was like, we got the tickets. I'm like, yeah, there's no chance I'm not going. But yeah, the prices that I've paid for her stuff. When the newest album came out in April, it was originally released as like 16 songs. So I went, and any album release, I travel to my best friend, Allie, who like we share the same love of. So wherever she's at the time, I travel to her and we listen to the album like on release night. So the last couple of times it's been Connecticut, which thankfully isn't too far. But that album was released originally as 16 songs, which is like a couple hours. So we stayed up at midnight to listen to it. We like took our time going through it, finished that at about 2 a.m. At 2 a.m., she had an announcement, and it was that there were 15 more songs dropping right now. So we're like, all right, well, let's rally. So then we stayed up.
That's dedication.
Yeah, we stayed up until 5 a.m. to listen to 31 new Taylor Swift songs, and then try and, like, dissect everything. And then we woke up the next day feeling like we were hungover, and we, like, didn't even drink alcohol because we were so busy.
I always think of, like, again, I'm aging myself, and I'm sure I know you have a similar story. But I think about, like, my favorite band when I was younger, and although it was probably a little bit younger than what you are, but I think of, like, New Kids on the Block.
Yes.
And I would have loved to see them when I was younger, but my parents were like, I'm not going to spend that money on a ticket, even though it was probably less than $50. And
so nothing compared to tickets now.
So I remember I was in my 20s, late 20s, and New Kids on the Block started to retour again. I paid more in surcharges from Ticketmaster than I paid for these tickets. It was like $5.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still great to see them, but I can only imagine what it would have been like if I saw them when they were really popular and in their prime.
Yeah.
Like, they were dancing on stage, but they're not as good as they probably were when they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
I know you have a very similar one, too, with your favorite
2 years ago, I got to see New Edition. And it was, I literally almost cried. I kept myself together because I was there with my cousin. I just remember hearing "Is This the End" on the radio. I'm thinking, who sings it? And I saw Soul Train. I'm thinking, ooh, they're cute. Mine was about looks. I was, they were cute guys, but then I just loved all their songs. But when I finally got to see them, Ralph was on a speaker. And I swear he was looking at me, singing to me. And if it wasn't from the 2 rows in front of me and the bodyguard, I would have grabbed him. I just would have, because he was right there. I'm like, oh my gosh, Ralph was right there. And I'm telling y'all, he looked at me. He looked at me as he was singing. I'm telling you, he did. He stared at me. He didn't know my name, but I have a video. I can show y'all later. He looked at me when he was singing, "Is This the End?" I'm convinced, because if I could just talk to them, that's all I want to do. I want to talk to them.
Yeah, I did cry when we saw Taylor Swift. I cried when we walked into the stadium, because we walked into the stadium and they're like playing like the pre-show playlist, and then we like got a peek into the stadium and the stage, and then we all just stood there and looked at it, and we all just cried. And then I cried again when she came out, because I was just like
emotional.
Like I was like my body like went numb. Like I was like shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be there. Like she's gonna be a real live person. In front of me.
Maybe I would have cried.
I will say it is a different feeling when you have watched them on television.
Yeah.
You have listened to them on the radio, and they are right there. I can tell you when I saw a New Edition, when Ralph was on that speaker, I was like, oh my gosh, it is Ralph.
And like, when there was no social media, we only got what was in like Bop magazine.
Yep. Or
like,
Teen magazine.
Taylor Swift, you get to know like everything about her. Like everything's at your fingertips. Like there was no internet. Even when I was gonna say I've seen NSYNC a couple times when they were in their prime. I don't think I had the obsession like I did with New Kids on the Block or like you with Taylor Swift. See, I lost what I was going to go with my topic. But it was still nice to go see them while they were in prime. But even then, internet wasn't around, so you weren't able to follow.
American Bandstand, Soul Train. When the new teen magazines came out, whatever we heard on the radio, that is all we knew.
Yeah. And now, like, kind of in line with, that makes me think of another, like, kind of crazy thing I've done, is, like, with TikTok and Instagram and everything, like, all of the shows get live streamed. So, like, whoever's at the show, like, just regular fans will go on and do a live of the whole thing, which the Eras Tour right now is, like, over 3.5 hours long. And someone will be live on their account the whole entire time. And at least in the beginning, when, like, the Eras Tour was really, really exciting, something that she does with a lot of her tours is she'll do, like, the normal set list, but then she'll do like 1 or 2 special songs just for that show, and she'll kind of like explain why she wants to sing that song or whatever. And so it became like at the beginning of the tour, like people had like spreadsheets of like the different albums and the different songs and which ones were played at which show, and if it was on the piano and if it was on the guitar, and we would have like a ranking of which ones we wanted to hear the most and which ones we wanted the most. And so we stayed up. I didn't even just stay up like for albums and the concert itself, but I would stay up to watch live streams to see if she would sing the ones that I wanted.
That's a part-time job.
Wow. Yeah.
That is like a part-time job.
Yeah. I don't do that anymore because that's really tiring. But at the beginning, like for the first few months when the tour started, and it was really, really exciting, it was like I was getting a rush just from watching like someone's TikTok live. And then eventually I was like, I saw her in person. I was like, okay, I think I've like let the excitement die down a little bit.
Question. You mentioned your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
What if your best friend decided she wasn't going to like Taylor anymore?
I think I would ask her if she's okay. Ask her what happened in her life that she didn't tell me about. I think I would still like her. At first I would be like, okay, what did I miss? Because if you don't like her, I probably missed something that she did that's really bad and I should probably know about it. Because she's a little bit more into like the theories and everything. She's not like crazy like the TikTokers and everything. But like she's the one who gives me my news. So if I'm not like on my phone as much, she'll text me about like what songs are performed, or if she had somebody come out on stage, or if some news broke on Twitter, because I don't have Twitter. Like she'll send me that stuff. So I get a lot of my news from her. So if she didn't be a fan and it was something like minute and I was still going to be a fan, I'd probably lose out on a lot of valid information.
Well, you have to attend like one of those socials that I always see advertised, like the Taylor Swift after party or something like that.
I'm kind of scared of them. Like I don't know the kind of people I'm going to get involved with.
The level of crazy that's. Yeah, I mean they have them all the time. You can find a new Taylor Swift fan, I'm sure, pretty easily.
Yeah. But question now, let's say you had the opportunity to have an hour with Taylor Swift, you and her. What are y'all talking about?
I'm so intimidated by her.
Really? Like, she's human, though.
I know.
She's human.
Like, famous people to that level, like, I don't even think of as people. Like, even at the concert, like, she was right in front of me. I was like, it still just doesn't feel like she's a real live person.
She has to eat. She has to do laundry. She has to do laundry.
I get that.
Maybe. she might have people.
She might have someone doing it for her.
I even agree with Taylor. Like, what are we going to talk about the weather? Like, would you have for dinner last night? Like, I kind of agree. I don't know what I would even ask.
That's a lot of pressure, though.
Like, in theory, I have, like, ideas, like, in the moment of things I'd want to ask her. Like, I'd want to ask her, like, what she thinks of her level of fame. Because, like, to me, in my opinion, like, she is one of the most famous people to ever exist.
She's up
like,
there.
there is nothing about her that doesn't get, like, analyzed and dug into. So I'd want to know, like, how she honestly feels about that. Like, if it's something that she enjoys, like, she does like knowing how much the fans are into stuff, or if that's kind of, like, a brand that she has to put on now. Because the whole thing with her is, like, I never know, and with people, like, at her level, how much of it's real and how much of it is, I have to do this because this is the brand that I've built. So I'd want to know, like, what she actually thinks. And she probably wouldn't give me an honest answer because it's PR. But I'd want to know what she thinks of how famous she is. Because that, like, terrifies me. I could never be famous to the level that she is.
I watched something on TikTok once about her, and she was, they were calling her about the Grammys, her nominations.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, she didn't get nominated for whatever album it was, I can't remember. But you can see that she was genuinely disappointed.
Yeah.
I feel like she's the type of person that needs validation in everything she does. Because you can see she was ready to cry.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll just make another album and it'll be better next time. It's, you can see it in her face. She has to be the best.
And I would think being at that level of success too, to me, be hard. Like, what can I do today better than I did yesterday?
It has to be hard.
To keep that, because really, honestly, it's about the fans.
Yeah. But she's always, like, one-upping herself. Like, she's kind of in, like, her own league in the music industry.
But what else can Taylor do? What else could she do to get even, unless she goes over to movies, and then those become hits?
Yeah. But, like, it seems like any setback she's had, like, in the public eye, where, like, anyone else could have just, like, fallen off after that. Like, all of the drama and, like, the stuff that gets thrown at her with, like, people hating her and getting canceled and all of that. Like, anyone else would have been done by this point. And she somehow finds a way every single time to, like, own it and, like, reclaim it and be like, okay, well, that's just who I am now. And then it's a whole new era, and you get an album about that. And it's, like, it never gets, like, boring as a fan. And, like, to a level, it's probably a little bit superficial. And it is just, to make the money and all that. But, like, it's kind of exciting that being a fan of her, you get, like, a different version, like, every couple of years. So it's like, it never gets boring, because if you were to listen to, like, if I were to randomly pick 3 albums and play it for you, it's, like, all different genres and different kinds of music that you wouldn't think would come from the same person. So it's like, I don't understand how many people does she have making these decisions for her to be like, okay, well, we're already 10 steps ahead and we know what's going to happen.
Since you mentioned people, if she posted right now that she needs a new PR person, are you applying?
Absolutely not. No. Not
a lot of weight on someone's shoulders.
She'd be canceled the next day.
You're brave. Who are you going to be a PR person
I
for?
will be a PR for Ralph.
You're going talking to celebrities, being PR rep?
I mean, I'll probably get fired. Because I'm not going to know what I'm doing.
She would eat me alive. Oh, no, I could never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. But then you also think about, too, like you said, the people, like being a celebrity, like how much private time do they really get? I mean, I know she's been in relationships,
right?
But I mean, how much private time do you think Taylor Swift actually gets to herself? What if she wanted to go to that local fast food restaurant and just get a burger and some fries and a milkshake and just sit and just eat?
No chance.
Like, I don't know. I like my privacy.
Yeah. Like, I'll get texts from, like, my friends, and, like, we're all in the group chat. Like, the friends that I went to Taylor Swift with last year, we're still all in a group chat together, and we're the ones who, like, send the updates. But I'll get texts from them about, like, paparazzi pictures from that day and, like, what her outfit was. And we'll be like, oh, that's a really good outfit. Or, like, if she goes out on a date with Travis, there's paparazzi pictures of it. And they're like, oh, look how cute they are in this clip. And it's like, it never stops. Like, she can't go and do anything without there being pictures of it and people analyzing, oh, her body language with Travis in this clip is a little off. Maybe they're on the rocks. And it's like, what in the world?
I feel like you would have to constantly, well, I don't know if she defends herself or not. 'Cause I know, so there's some celebrities, you speak of them, they're in the...
She doesn't anymore.
She doesn't do any defense.
So she's very engaged with the fans, like, at tour and things like that. But she used to be really interactive with, like, her social media, and even in, like, her albums, she would leave, like, hints in the albums of, like, literally who it's about. She would write the name out, and over time, like, she doesn't do anything on social media now. Like, if you go on her Instagram, her comments are turned off. You can't even talk about it in the comments. Oh. You have to go elsewhere, and it can't be, like, there's nothing on her page that's any sort of conversation. She's probably not the one making her posts anymore. Like, it sounds like it would be her, but it's not nearly as much. And she doesn't go on, like, Twitter unless it's to announce something or to talk about something really important. But there's unless it's something huge about, like, her friends, I think then she'll speak up. And she'll normally speak out for elections, like, encouraging people to vote and things. But other than that, it's really just about, like, the business side that she'll talk about.
So let's pretend that Jen and I don't even know who she is. And you're like I need y'all to be with me. I need you to be a Swiftie. Mm-hmm. How are we going to be a Swiftie?
Yeah, what does that entail? I need job description.
How are you going to convince us that we need to be a Swiftie?
So first of all, I'll put you in a group chat because you have to stay in the know about all of the outfits and the surprise songs and all of the theories. I think, funnily, I'm like, oh, you'd have to do a crash course to get up with the times and everything. But, I really don't think it's about that. I think in some of the songs, we'll get into in part 2 of the different things that she talks about. I think it's just kind of fun to go into it and not really have any expectations. If I could imagine someone literally did not know who she was and, first day on Earth, and I was introducing them to her, I'd be like, I don't want you to have any knowledge. I think it'd be really fun for someone to, make their completely own opinion. Because so much of her career has, been clouded by scandals and cancels and other people giving her crap about stuff and her relationships. So it'd be kind of interesting for someone to make an opinion based just on the music and see what that's like. Because some people can't listen to a song without being like, oh, this is who that's about and this is what was going at the time, which is fun. But it'd be kind of cool if someone didn't know any of that and just knew the music to see what their opinion would be.
Thank you for not wanting to brainwash us.
Yeah.
And let us make our own opinion.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for right now. So stay tuned for part 2. We're going to listen to some songs.
We're going to talk about the men.
We are going to analyze it.
Yes.
And then we are going to maybe guess, without any timeline at all, who the song is
who she's
about.
talking about.
So we'll see how we do.
Yeah. But thank you, Taylor.
Yeah,
thank you. That's so much fun.
All of you have to come back to It's Us Again with Felicia and Jen to get part 2 on Taylor, where we talk about the men. That's exciting. All right. See you next time.
Bye.